Okay.
Hey, man.
Hey,
What's going on?
we're back.
We are back, and this time I'll allow it.
Because we've been gone for...
Since late July, I think.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
But we have an excuse. Is because we just launched a brand new pedal, and we're starting a guitar store.
How about that?
I think that's fair that we haven't been podding as much
I think so.
because of that.
So, this is the Pedal Pushers Podcast.
Yes.
Be sure to like, subscribe, do all the things, support the show, and support our YouTube channel. And just so you know, let's address this now.
Okay.
Fridays, we do a live stream, and everyone assumes that that is the Pedal Pushers Podcast.
I mean, it's us.
Sitting in the room, but we don't hold microphones,
Okay.
and it's not structured like a podcast.
It's a live stream version of the podcast.
Kind of. It's a stream of consciousness.
But
It's more loosey-goosey than this is.
so we could call it the Pedal Pushers live stream, and no one would.
I think that
bat
would
an eye.
confuse the point even further.
Whoa. Okay.
Anyway, how you doing, Matthew?
I'm doing great.
Got a
Zachary.
haircut?
I did. I got a haircut. I got all my hairs cut. I was trying to go something a little more low maintenance. So I was tired of wearing a hat all the time because I didn't want to do my hair in the morning.
Sure.
So now I don't have to do my hair in the morning and don't feel like I have to wear a hat.
I really like doing my hair.
I know you do. You're a fussy boy.
Well, that I am.
And
I got luscious locks.
And I'm saying that in the nicest way possible. It's not a bad thing.
I know I'm fussy and strange. Morgan and I were talking last night about just how much I like working and projects and things like that. And she's like, "You're different than any other person I've ever known in my whole life." I'm like, "Yep, I know."
You are, but you're so much like my wife, so it makes dealing with you very easy.
That's right.
Because it's basically the same set of skills.
And when we fight, we know it's going to be okay.
That's right, because you got me for life, bro.
So, we just released something.
We did. Now, apologies to everybody that we didn't have this ready for launch. I always like to have the pod ready for launch, but like I said, we were super busy. But now we're ready to do the Envy launch podcast. Here we are.
Da, 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 da. Here it is.
Hey.
The Mythos Envy. It just sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan's trap. Let me all around to Stevie Ray Vaughan. So yeah, the Envy launched on September 12th.
Yes, it did.
And it is our version of the thing that it looks like, a tube screamer.
Yes. So, weirdly, and I like to start with this, weirdly, tube screamers are a little controversial now.
It
It's weird
seems
to
so.
me. It's weird to me.
We can blame a few people specifically if we want to, but
And we'll get to that, but we're going to start on a positive note.
yes,
You love tube screamers.
I do.
And you can prove it.
There's one.
How many are in this room with us right now?
I think 27.
27. Okay.
There's another one.
So they could remake, with Katherine Heigl, 27 Dresses.
Yeah.
Exactly. 27
Oh, man.
Tube Screamers. I'd see that movie.
Would you?
Yeah, sure. You'd make me go.
I'm in it. Come on. But yeah, so I obviously have a love for the tube screamer, and it has. So I think a lot of people just assume that I am buying these solely to annoy Rhett. And I'm not solely doing it to annoy Rhett, but that's a part of it because I'm a big brother, and I think inherently I have that big brother thing where I know this bothers them and I want to do it until they're dead.
That is true. That is true.
But I genuinely do love the tube screamer, and I think that it is one of, if not the most iconic guitar effect of all time.
Yeah, I believe that is correct.
I think when people think of a guitar pedal, they're thinking of this or like a DS1 or, I mean, maybe a Klon now.
Yeah.
But I do think that this and a Boss-shaped pedal are like...
So, when did you fall in love with the circuit?
Sure.
And how have you used it over the years? Like, what is what's your tube screamer story?
That's a good question. I first remember getting a tube screamer after I moved to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, when I went to MTSU for a minute. And I was at one of the music stores in town.
Okay.
And they had a used TS9DX, which is like a TS9, but it has four knobs and has a little switch that you can go between a couple different modes.
Yeah.
And I spent the last petty cash I had on that pedal, and I had SD ones, and I might have had a Tube Screamer before that, but I'd never really used it. And that pedal, the TS9DX, I modded. That's when I was getting into mods.
Mm-hmm.
And I had that pedal for years and years and years. I gigged it, and it really became the effect that I think I could use for anything.
Okay.
That was my ride or die guitar pedal.
And so did you use it as like, you know, into a cranked amp for solos? Like what was your use case for that particular Tube Screamer?
I always used an amp that was pretty loud.
Mm-hmm.
And back then I was in I was in the Mars Volta-esque band, and then I was in an Americana, like kind of rock band
like
afterwards.
You do.
Yeah, like the normal progression.
Yeah. That makes total sense to me.
But I typically played a bassman.
Okay.
And the bassman was always loud, and so I used the Tube Screamer to really hit it. But I would stack it with I had a Blues Driver or a Rat, and I would use those low gain and stack them together. But I always found a place for it in the music that I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I think, well, we could touch on this later, but I understand the shortcomings of it, but for me, it just truly sounded right every time I played a gig.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of latched
It's sitting
onto
in the
it.
mix, and it's doing its thing.
Everyone heard me. And there have been moments
Yeah.
with certain pedals where I have gigged and I've clicked them on, and the audience could hear me, but I couldn't hear me.
Yeah.
And things like that. So I always heard myself, and I know the audience always heard me when I would kick on a Screamer when I gigged.
So when did you start collecting them?
I didn't start collecting Tube Screamers until we were here.
That's right.
Because
you had a few before that, right?
I did have a few, and it was always like I'm going to buy one, and maybe like I gave some to Rhett for videos, and then
so the collecting really did come up because of the Rhett stuff.
Kind of. I had a 808 True Vintage mod, Analog Man Tube Screamer that I had bought, way after I had that first TS9, and I used that for ages, and that one was always the one that I just held on to. And then slowly I thought, well, I've got an 808, I need a 9, I need a 10.
Yeah.
And you kind of just go down that rabbit hole, and now it has become this, you can't really see them, they're off camera, but this shelf of ridiculousness. And I'm only lacking, I think, 2 or 3 models that bear the name Tube Screamer.
Yeah.
But it really, it was something that started here, because you'd see one for $100 or whatever, or $50 or something like, some of these.
Yeah, and you have like all the anniversary ones that they've released. In different colors. It's like,
and I've traded, and
it's fun.
just to have something. And this is really the only thing. This and like Ghostbuster props are kind of the only things that I collect.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty wild set of hobbies that I have.
It's fun.
But yeah.
Yeah. So now that you found yourself sort of being the internet's foremost Tube Screamer guy.
I don't know. Is that me though?
I like to think so.
Am I the most?
I don't. My internet doesn't stretch that far. So I'm talking about our little world of the internet. I think that you people know that you like Tube Screamer.
Yeah, and maybe when we're going to touch on some controversial takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to get into that now, but you want to bring up something else first?
Well, I just want to say I've got some interesting anecdotes about other Tube Screamer people and Tube Screamers specifically, not the people, but the things they have that I want to talk to you guys about.
Sure. Well, the thing that I am curious about is like how you think, and we can blame it all on Rhett and then just move on, or we could dig into it a little bit, how it became like not liking Tube Screamer being part of your gear personality. I think what happened is that it's something that people really love to let you know about
right.
when they don't like them. And, if I was to guess, I would say part of the reason why is because if it's the most popular one, things that are that popular, they become so ubiquitous, people can define themselves by whether they like them or they don't like them. That happens in movies and music. And, I don't like the Beatles. You know what I mean? It's like, so you don't like music?
Yeah, yes, you do.
And it's fine if you actually don't listen to the Beatles or say you don't like them, but it's it's that kind of stuff is funny.
Yeah.
I don't like whatever it is. I've never seen Star Wars. Those kind of people. It's like that's cool, but it's like it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't like chocolate. Well, are you allergic or are you weird?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's only two options.
Only two options. So, what's your take on that?
So I think as meme culture has grown in the guitar space, which has happened over the past couple of years, you start to see more and more people try to find things to make jokes about. And I think sometimes in that, those jokes become part of how people perceive a product.
Okay.
So I know a lot. For me, I started to see it from a lot of people who were the anti-blues guys.
Okay. Yeah.
And so guys who were, playing more heavy music which is ironic in and of itself because this is ubiquitous with heavy music.
It is.
But you're seeing those guys, people who, kind of wanted to be like the guitar counterculture in a way to what is expensive and popular and whatnot.
Yes, somehow Tube Screamer got lumped in with like Blues Lawyers, and because of the Stevie Ray Vaughan connection and a lot of the connotations of how you're supposed to use a Tube Screamer, it ended up in that space.
Yeah, and I think that has snowballed into people just thinking of it as a meme and not thinking of it as one of the best-selling guitar pedals of all time that has been recorded in literally every style of music imaginable.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where that came from. And now, with influencers and YouTubers, and I'm not trying to like throw anybody under the bus, especially Rhett, but when people of influence start to say, hey, I don't like this, then that kind of puts a barrier up for people to even try things because they assume, this guy doesn't like it, I'm not going to like it.
Yeah, and I always think, and I think I brought this up to you today on an unrelated topic, but there's a difference between like I don't like it and I think versus I think this is bad. And I think that where I get a little bit confused is that it started to feel a little bit like the Tube Screamer talk was Tube Screamer bad.
Yeah.
Like, not that I don't like it, that it's not something that, like, is particularly something that I don't want for my sound, is that it's bad and it does bad things to your signal and it kills the bass and the mid-ranges sucks and, like, it versus, like, maybe those people are just using it wrong because there's no way you could sell that many pedals and be that of a ubiquitous, titan and be bad. But you started to see it like people were just saying, no, they're bad.
Right. And I think it's I don't want to go there, but it's kind of like the Tonewood debate or only the pickups matter or whatever.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. All of that, I believe, comes from a lack of experience. And I don't mean with guitar pedals saying someone lacks experience is different than someone not being able to physically try as many guitars as possible. But if you've only tried this at a shop quietly, it is totally different playing through a loud amp at a gig. And I you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, and this is why I wanted to talk about what people get wrong about the circuit. And I kind of came up with this hypothesis, and you all have to listen to me state it right now because it's our show. Is the idea that, like, I think that so many things have shifted over the last 15, 20 years as far as how people play, and the bedroom pedal board thing kind of like sprouting up really big over the last, like, really 15 years, the JHS and Earthquaker era, that more and more pedals are relied on to, like, sort of be like less use case, like you say, live in a band mix. And I think maybe this pedal isn't the best pedal for people that are using it at home by themselves.
I agree.
And maybe that's how that got started, is that people would try them. And if you're a bedroom player who's not trying to stand out in the mix, you're not trying to boost solos because that doesn't matter while you're at home, then the use case of this pedal starts to dwindle versus other pedals that could maybe drive a clean amp at low volumes in your bedroom.
Yeah. And
Is that fair?
No, I think so. And like when you're saying that, I thought, okay, the three things that I think have led to people not believing that the Tube Screamer is a good pedal are the meme culture that built around it, people playing at home, which is not a dig, it's just it's a fact. The majority of players
the
play
use
home.
case of this might not be for home bedroom players.
And then also, lest we forget, the Tube Screamer is one of the first circuits that really blew up in boutique guitar effect pedal culture.
Yes.
So it is now synonymous with overdrive pedals at our boutique. One of the first questions most people will ask is it a Tube Screamer? And so I think that has caused a little burnout.
No, that makes sense.
For players as well. So, but I think you're totally right. I think one of the questions we get asked a lot, or I get asked a lot on AMAs and stuff, is about balancing volume playing at home.
Yeah.
Because when you're playing at home, you might not necessarily need volume bumps or different dynamic levels because you're playing for yourself. You don't have to have that sort of range of volume.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're playing loud, you need that. And I think that you're right. I think a lot of people playing at home in a vacuum, this is not for everybody. I like it.
Yeah.
But that's just because I'm used to it.
And I do think that a lot of, like I'm saying, use case, being in the pedal industry now for a couple of years and being really into pedals the last 15 years, is that a lot of the use cases is I have a cleanish to like slightly dirty amp, like, you know, edge of breakup, so to speak. And then now I need my pedal to do a lot of heavy lifting for my sound. That's a lot of people. That's what they want nowadays. And I think that maybe the Tube Screamer and the way it's set up, being an overdrive, people are sort of lumping it in with a lot of those other pedals, like a lot of those other circuits that are doing a lot of that heavy lifting. And are stacking. And there's a lot of interesting things that the Tube Screamer does that maybe that's not what they're into.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a transparent overdrive.
No, but it's so ironic in that so many transparent overdrives, quote unquote, are built off the topology that lives inside this little green box.
Yes.
So that's an interesting thing.
Speaking of the topology that lives in that little green box, we decided to make our own finally.
Yeah.
And after all of this, and I think, and I'm going to speak for you, or I'll just ask you the question that's super loaded. Did you wait this long to do a Tube Screamer, knowing how much that you like them? And I know that you had some Tube Screamer-ish stuff in the past, but really do a Tube Screamer is because of sort of the interesting place it has in the industry now. Like, what is the biggest reason why you waited this long?
I think it's interesting to release a Tube Screamer-esque or inspired circuit now because there are a lot of people talking about it, and it has become. It's always been part of pedal culture, but I feel like it has you know, it gets people talking right now, but also because I feel like for Mythos, I have tried to do different stuff, interesting, you know, slightly different. You know, getting too far left of center is not my MO at all. But one of the things that has worked so well for us is just staying true to what we like or what I like. Yeah. And it just felt like now's the time to try it. And really it's as simple as that. The Envy, I don't expect this to set the world on fire. I don't. I thought the Herculean Deluxe might.
And it's done really well.
And it's done well, but I don't expect this to be like the best-selling pedal that we've ever made. But I do think it'll become a cornerstone product in our lineup that people can trust to give them something different from what a traditional Ibanez or Maxon style circuit will do. Yeah.
So when it was finally time to come around and do this circuit, like, you know, what is it?
What is it? So
like what? You know, everybody knows what a Tube Screamer is, but where are you starting point? Considering you have 27 Tube Screamers, like what's the basis of this thing, and then what were your ideas? To make it your own?
Sure. So this circuit starts at the 808. I like the 808 from all the traditional Tube Screamers. The 808 I think is the best. I think the best sounding one in my collection is the New Tube. But that one has a Korg new tube in it that I can't get those and make pedals with it. I mean, I could, but that would be nightmarishly expensive.
I would,
and you would faint. I think.
I might have some questions about our.
What's this $10,000 order on the credit card? Oh, that's Korg new tubes.
You better be real confident this one's going to be a hit.
Yeah, exactly. But it started in the 808. And And then I wanted to do all the mods that I have learned over the years. So the Tube Screamer, like I said, was one of the first pedals I ever really modded. So I adjusted the amount of gain. So it has more and less, which is important because the drive pot on a Screamer doesn't have a huge range to it. So I wanted to expand that. The voicing of it is basically as it should be, quote unquote, with a little more low end out of the box. Increase the output slightly, which is important because I do feel like all the vintage Screamers I've played are louder.
Okay.
But I think the thing that I wanted to do the most was have mods that were cool and different, and different in some way. And so what we decided to do with this is have push buttons instead of toggle switches.
And it took me a little bit to come around on that.
Yeah, I mean it's different.
Is there a function reason why you decided to go with that? You wanted to go something cooler or different, or do you like the way that functions for the type of mod or effect that's happening?
I just wanted. I thought it looked cool.
Okay. Easy
because
money.
If you've been following, I design everything in Illustrator first.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get a feel for what I want the product to look like. And I like the idea of making it really clear when you're turning something on or off and having that effect just be one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that kind of came from this. The KHDK.
The Ghoul
Screamer. The Kirk Hammett Screamer, which has a lot of little toggles, and most of them are this one way.
And they're on and off.
Oh, they're all on and off. Or one or the other. Yeah. But I've always made Screamers with three-way toggles for everything.
Yes.
So it was just, you have this and I could have that and this and that and this. And it just felt a little cumbersome. So basically I just wanted to distill it down and offer up 4 sounds effectively. That
excuse me.
It just works.
Yeah, and I personally like
it's a 4-in-1.
There you go. Put that on a t-shirt. I like the simplicity of knowing that it's on. I like on or off, right? Because then it starts to feel less of like, well, do I want this or do I want this or do I want this? And you could do on or off with a toggle, but it's kind of fun because like you're engaging.
Yeah.
I feel like it's Star Trek: The Next Generation.
There's something about a push button that just feels neat.
Yeah, it feels, you're engaging it. And it keeps with the simplistic idea that we always have for Mythos.
Mm-hmm.
Is to sort of like, we could have come out with just a straight one with no mods.
Yeah.
We wanted to have a few mods because you like mods a lot on these things. And there's definitely...
And I think customers expect something.
Yeah. And, we want to try to get closer to that idea of maybe you do have a cleanish amp and you want to use this thing. And I think that has gotten it a little bit further towards that because I think with the lows and then with the clipping, I think you can do some interesting things if you want this as your primary overdrive with a cleanish amp.
Yeah. And like I said in the why I made this, I think having a circuit like this in your arsenal is just useful because sometimes you'll be, recording or playing and you're just not, like I said, you're just not getting heard.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're always going to be heard with a circuit like this. So it's a good thing just to have as part of your toolbox.
Yeah.
For most players, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I ran it through my rig and I really liked it with the Herculean.
Mm-hmm.
I set up my stuff. I set up the Runestone as my main drive sound. On a sort of edge of breakup on my Cali Tweed.
Yeah.
And I'd set up the Herculean side of it to sort of do what this does.
Yeah.
But it does it even better.
Well, it's totally different too.
And it's totally different. And I think that like I sort of not stumbled upon, but like you realize like, if it was the early 80s and you were using a jacked Marshall and you wanted to like really just push yourself out front when you're playing a solo, like why that circuit is so good. Because it just did it. And like that was really cool. And I could definitely like, use it in that case where I want to, and that's the thing is like being primarily a bedroom player and primarily like there's no instance where it's like, I need to push my solos out. But I did like, if you're interested in what happens to the EQ and the mid range that you can get.
Yeah.
And you want to move the mid range around and get some interesting sounds. Like to me, that's sort of where I'm at with my playing is to sort of find those neat things messing with, filter pedals and wahs and all the different neat stuff that you can do to kind of like, make everything stand out. Because I have a baritone now, so that's really fun to figure that out. Really like the Envy, even for that reason, not using very much drive. Just mostly is like, what can I make the EQ do that's really interesting here to make myself play different? And I liked it a lot for that reason.
Yeah. And I think we should talk about the fact that a lot of people assume that the Herculeans, the left side of the Herculean Deluxe, the Herculean circuit, is this.
It's not.
It's not. There are some similarities in the tone knob, the clarity knob, but the Herculean, all the values in that circuit are tweaked, which that's, that's how circuits work. If you change how filtering works, it doesn't necessarily sound the same. It does share a little bit of the personality of it, but when you put them side by side, they don't sound different.
Oh, and
they don't sound the same.
And that's what I meant. Like I was using the Herculean sort of in that vein, but then when I used this, it sounded different. Like
totally
pushed it in a different way, which was really neat.
It's way more mid forward and way less transparent, quote unquote, than the Herculean side of the circuit. The Herculean definitely has a mid-forward compression thing that is
especially when
thicker.
You got it in Zen Drive.
Yeah, but it is not as mid-forward and pokey as the
and like I use the Herculean together with the Runestone for rhythm stuff, and then when I did this, it's like, oh, there's the lead, like that's where that really shined. But
and I really like these sort of circuits because a lot of people just focus on the solo aspect of it.
Yes.
Especially with humbuckers. But I feel like the fact that you can dump out a little bit of the low end, it really can tighten up a really boomy amp, especially if you're playing loud. Like if you're playing like that PRS amp back there, which is, a tweaked Marshall thing, that thing loud, it rattles the whole building.
Oh man.
And like if you want to tame some of that and make it feel faster to play, then something green typically goes a long way in fixing that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So one thing that people kind of brought up to us, what I thought was really interesting, and we did our darndest to make sure that we didn't mess this up, the name.
The Envy.
Now, who came up with that? Was it just us in the office together, or did you have that kicking around for a while? I can't remember. Like many things just kind of happened organically in here. Had you been thinking about that for a bit, or?
I had never thought about it. I mean, like obviously green with Envy is pretty, like on the nose, but we were working on another project.
Yes.
That doubtfully will ever see the light of day, but you never say never.
Yeah.
And I think this was initially going to be in that.
It was.
And we were going to call it something else. But
I think that
we had this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that I remember. So we were working on this other project.
Yes.
And they were all going to be kind of cute code name kind of things.
Yes.
And we thought NV9 was cute.
Yeah. NV9.
Which
I'm shocked that's not taken either. But NV, so far as we could tell,
haven't got a letter yet.
Yeah, is not a trademarked product name, and neither is NV9. And some people were confused by why it says Pro Overdrive.
You have to be a pro to play this pedal.
It says Pro Overdrive on the Envy, but the Tube Screamer is the Overdrive Pro.
Hey.
So that's why. Ibanez, please don't make us take that off.
Love you.
I obviously love you.
Love you. love you. But yeah, so we're very happy to get the name for this. I think it's a home run.
And a lot of people were, I don't know if they were disappointed, but if a lot of people assumed we would name it something insane.
Like mythologically impossible to pronounce?
Right, yeah. I mean, and that is something that I totally get it. And there were a lot of great guesses, but one thing that I decided a while ago is I don't want to name stuff that people can neither spell or pronounce that often. The Hephaestus got a pass because I think that's really cool. But the Fates, Oracle, the Cestus, the
I mean, Herculean.
Herculean. I mean that's a maybe not a word you say often, but a Herculean task is not a phrase, foreign to everybody.
Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
I wanted to go with Envy because to me, when I think Envy, I think of Hera, Zeus's his wife, who is jealous and envious. And so like to me that it does have that connotation. But yeah, I was totally shocked.
We're very happy.
No one had that name.
We're very happy. So, because it's Scrima and its use case, I was kind of going over how I like to use it. Like, people always want to know, like, what am I stacking this with? What am I using it with? Like, what do you think is like an ideal, for people that have Mythos pedals already out there? Like, how would you use this guy? Say you've got a couple of our drives already. Like, what's the best use case for this thing? What would you do?
Well, I used to gig with the very number one, October 10th, 2010 Mjolnir.
Wow.
And a Tube Screamer. I would usually either run one that I made or the True Vintage into that. And I would use the Mjolnir as a big boost.
Okay.
And then slam the Screamer into that for higher gain and also like poking out in the mix. That's not for everybody because that does get very mid-forward. But guitar lives in the mids. But with other Mythos pedals, especially drives, because that I think the stacking aspect, everyone's just curious about what drive circuits.
Yeah.
The luxury drive before that would be awesome. Cestus would be pretty cool before it, but that would be very honk city, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe if you're starting a King Gizzard cover band, and you want to pull off their new record, and you just need that honk.
You need to be a silly Billy.
If you need to be a silly Billy.
But yeah, I don't like they all could work well with it, but I think the circuit that would shine the most would be the luxury drive, the Mjolnir, or honestly the Runestone side of the Herculean Deluxe.
I loved it. Yeah. Absolutely loved it.
But that's the pair. Everyone wants a Bluesbreaker and a Screamer because of, John Myers.
John Myers?
Yeah. Do you know John Myers pees sitting down?
Jeez.
That's from his own video. I'm not, I lay no claim to that joke.
That's a good bit.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So my use case was correct. Good on me.
Yeah. You did it right.
With all kinds of stuff. And I was like, I like the way this sounds.
It's funny though, because one of the things early on that happened when you were playing more guitar here, when we had more time.
Man, I haven't played guitar at work forever.
Yeah, it's just me.
Like it's just
bothering everybody.
Just
testing pickups and stuff.
Even when I'm playing, it's like, hey, we got a new guitar or a new amp, and we're testing it. Versus like I'm playing.
Yeah. But one thing that I thought, because I would hear you play, and I would say, "Man, you really need some soft clipping."
I remember that.
And I don't know what was the first pedal that I gave to you to say.
The Herculean.
Okay.
The V2.
And I was like, try this.
And you were right.
And it totally like softened up the sound and like you had a different feel.
As I say, I play guitar like I have two drumsticks in my hand. So I needed a little soft clipping.
Doesn't Tom Morello do that? No, he has like a pen or a pencil when he gets like the helicopter sounds.
Probably.
With his delay.
He does all kinds
You guys know what I'm talking about?
He does lots of neat stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, you knew right away that was the right call.
Yeah. And I think for some people, if you're used to a hard clip circuit, which is the Klon, the Rat, the DOD 250, the MXR Distortion Plus, stuff in that vein, even the Golden Fleece, the Speaker Cranker,
210,
the 210, anything like that. Those are hard clipped overdrive distortion circuits. The soft clip thing is totally different. It gives you a different feel. It feels different as you play, and it's a useful thing, and it stacks really well with the hard clip circuit too. So it's honestly the Envy and the 210 would be a great pair, but I think we sold out of 210s yet.
Remember we found some underneath the...
Oh yeah, they fell.
We found some. We thought we were out of them, then we found some underneath the shelf, I think.
But that would be a good pair. But it's just such a useful tool to me that I've taken it to the extreme. But even if I didn't have all 20 something of these, I would definitely have one or two kicking around if this didn't exist.
And a lot of times when you make something like this, a lot of times people will say, "Oh, did you make a Tube Screamer for people that don't like tube screamers, right? That's like kind of like an easy kind of path to go when you're making stuff.
Yeah.
And I would say, no, you didn't.
No.
You did not. You made a tube screamer for people that like tube screamers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think you don't like tube screamers, maybe, try some other use cases and see what you think.
Yeah, and
it's okay if you still don't like it, but open your mind.
That's right. And the fact that it has the clipping switch, which I think is the secret sauce, because that makes it not be as closed off sounding. It sounds a lot bigger and more open. Yeah. I think that in and of itself, if that was the only mod that I had done to it, and I had just repackaged this and clipped the dial, I think people would be like, wow, this sounds great.
Yeah.
But it really is my favorite mod. So,
and I just want to say that if you still don't like it at the end of the day, even trying it in the use cases we said, we'll be okay. But just you have to respect our love.
Yeah,
respect it.
There are
respect the love.
A lot of pieces of gear that I don't get.
I know you do.
I mean, you guys know. If you watch said Not Pedal Pushers live stream, you've heard me
say lots of nasty things.
No, it's not nasty.
Yes,
but I'm very open with the fact
things that you don't like.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't like that.
Now remember, the question I always will ask is: do you think it sucks, or you don't like it?
Most of the time, I just don't like it. There are a few things that I
legitimately suck.
I think just totally blow chunks,
like the Acoustasonic.
Yes.
Hi, Fender. Really?
Sorry, Fender.
I'm really interested to see what Jack White sees in that thing, because they just came out with his version of it. I'm like, Jack, what are you doing, dude?
Man, he's cashing a paycheck. That's what he's doing.
I think they came to him and said, we'll make you a guitar amp, but monkey's paw, we're going to curl. You get an Acoustasonic too. He's like, fine.
Maybe they just had a whole warehouse full of them. Like, we can paint them black and put a big pick guard on it. He was like, all right.
Look at that big pick guard.
Yeah, that's very true. But there
are stuff that
there is stuff that I genuinely hate, Acoustasonic notwithstanding, that most people might be shocked that I hate. But I'm not
keep that to ourselves.
I don't want to disparage anybody.
We make products and then we sell products, so we don't need that kind of hate in anyone's life.
No, and some things are obvious. Like you know the one joke that I wish would go away.
Ooh.
Not like Joe Bonamassa jokes. Be like, oh, is Joe Bonamassa gonna buy it? Like, that is so lazy and boring.
Yeah.
But I hate, even worse than that, the Korg Miku jokes. Is it a Korg Miku clone, or is it a Metal Zone clone? Like, I hate those jokes. And the Korg Miku is dumb. It's arguably stupid.
Yeah.
But that joke, if you're making it on the internet, if you're thinking about, hey, I'm gonna go type this today, just don't.
Well, now you're gonna get it more. So congratulations on that one, bud. You're gonna be like,
well,
the internet. That's what the internet does. You say, I don't like this. Don't do that. Guess what? They gonna do it.
Maybe I'll chop that bit out.
No, I think we should. I want all our comment sections just to be those.
Korg Miku. Yeah, every comment, even if it's negative, that just bumps us up in the algorithm.
The algorithm is rhythm, and then the algorithm is rhythm, and then. I'm speaking English.
It's something like that. Anyway.
There you go.
So, at the end of the day, we made a Tube Screamer for people who like Tube Screamers or are Tube Screamer curious. But we also didn't make a Tube Screamer because the only company that makes a Tube Screamer is Ibanez. Trademark, copyright. We made the Mythos Envy Pro Overdrive NV9.
Yeah. A TS style.
TS
That's
style.
my favorite.
A TS sounding object.
TS style. TS-ish.
Yes.
All right, there you go. Buy one.
So,
what are you buying?
Ooh.
What are you selling?
What are you buying? Well, it's been a while since we've done this. Did either of us buy anything since the last show?
I've bought thousands of dollars worth of things.
Well, for the store.
I bought one thing for myself.
What did you buy for yourself?
I bought
I can't remember.
You really can't remember?
No, how long has it been?
I bought another Les Paul.
Oh, it's not here yet. That's why I don't remember. It's not here yet. You did. You bought another Les Paul.
Yeah. So we'll see how it is. I'm worried that the neck's going to be like one of those giant boys, but
it'll be fun.
But yeah, so it was really cool. It was we'll talk about it, but
we'll talk about it.
It's a 57 reissue in a not gold top finish.
I'm really excited about it. I think it's a beautiful piece.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. Hopefully.
Yeah. And are you selling anything? Again, personal.
Yes.
Not all the wonderful gear we have for highvoltageguitars.com.
Sadly, I'm parting ways with my PRS 594 hollow body. A lovely gentleman named Brian is coming to Nashville, and he's going to get it. And it's going to a happy home, and that's good. I genuinely think that is one of the finest instruments I've ever played, but I really struggle playing standing up with it.
Yeah,
it really hurts because my hand is so specific.
Yeah.
It really hurts my hand.
Yeah.
But it's one of those can't plug it up because every time I plug it in, I'm just shocked at how good it sounds.
I mean, yes, I have not plugged in my PRS special since
Sure.
I decided to sell it. It's still available.
And you've been getting some traction on that.
I have been. Last couple of days, we've got a lot of action on it. I've kept the price firm. I think if I wanted to sell it, I could have moved things around a little bit, but I've tried to just kind of see. And it'll probably be available consigned at highvoltageguitars.com.
Yes.
You'll probably see it there, so I'm going to bring it in and not play it. Because if I play it, I know I'm going to be like,
We'll just have it locked up and you won't even be able to get it out.
So I'm still selling that and nothing else at the moment. I think that's it. I'm not buying anything because I have no money for gear because I need to sell that guitar to cover the purchase I already made earlier this year with my Contra's baritone. I do. There's a pedal I'm going to buy.
Right.
And I'm going to get that and we'll talk about it when I get it.
I'm selling a bunch of personal pedals. I've tried to do it via Instagram, and I think everyone just assumes it's all Mythos stuff, and then the people that want non-Mythos stuff, they don't know when I'm selling that. Anyway, I'm selling a lot of like non-Mythos pedals that I'll probably just have to like throw on reverb or something.
Yeah, the collection gets out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah, obviously.
It does. And then sometimes you got to just purge to make more room. And our shop is now a guitar warehouse as well.
Yes, but just ending on that, highvoltageguitars.com. The website will be
19 days from when we're recording those.
Yeah, it'll be switched on live October 8th, 2024. But go sign up for the newsletter. Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, YouTube. Yeah. We shot some really incredible stuff with some really incredible people that will be going up on the YouTube channel shortly. And we'll do an entire pod about it.
We'll do a high voltage launch pod.
Not in 2 or 3 months from now, but like
we'll
a couple of weeks.
Yes, I promise.
But yeah.
And let's because it's fun, let's tease the next 2 projects for Mythos.
There's one in this room.
What is it?
That someone might be able to see.
Oh my God, what'd you do? Oh, it is. It's right there. Did I see it? Can they tell what I look? Can they see it?
You're looking at the computer monitor, so your eyes are.
I know. My hair. Does it look all right?
We got the hair light, so you're glowing.
It's a little wispy
hard
up there, but it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be slightly unkempt.
Is that how they do it now?
I don't know. My wife thinks I'm cool.
Okay, hey, that's what it's all about. And
yeah, so one of them's in the room, and can we say when that one's going to be available? You want to tease that?
You will.
Let's just say it's almost spooky season.
Yeah,
and we love spooky season around here because we're a costume family. You are a costume family. My family is a costume family.
I'm so excited for this year's
so
Halloween costume.
It's always exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, I'll just say 1N34A.
Oh, come on, man.
What?
Everybody knows what that is.
Maybe they do.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't. I've talked about it.
They know what it is.
But I've talked about it.
Yeah, I know.
So that's, it's coming down.
I'm so excited. I got a place on my board. I'm going to go right on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
But then there's other stuff too.
What?
Okay. Last thing.
Oh, we are going to do something for the high voltage launch.
Yes.
That's exclusive for, we're making an exclusive pedal for ourselves, but not for mythos.com, but for high voltage.
Yeah. We got to get some.
Of course I know him. He's me.
Of course I know him. We got to get those order numbers rolling on the website. Make sure it's working.
Okay.
But yeah, so mythospedals.com. Subscribe to the newsletter there. We don't bother people. We're pretty sparse with our newslettering.
It's not even once a week. It should be once a week.
High voltage we'll probably do once a week, highlighting one specific instrument or amp or piece.
Yeah.
But super excited. And by the way,
Mhm.
I posted some pictures of the Idris that we're going to have for sale. Let me know what you guys think about those photos and what you would want to see from photos on highvoltageguitars.com.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what photos and how many photos to take for the website. We're doing our research. Always interested in what the peeps want.
Taking pictures is non-trivial, and it's a lot of work, but it's one of those things. I only want to have to take pictures of something once.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to,
Sorry, Graham.
well, not inanimate objects.
Okay.
But anyway, thanks for listening.
Yeah,
Be sure to
yeah.
like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Let's go.